So today I'm working on a project with our third graders who are doing a unit studying animals. And so just to give them a little extra something for this project, we had them make stickers. And so they used Wixie to layer shapes to create their animal. We talked a little bit about proportion and parts of the body and creating an image that takes basic primitives and puts them together to make a more complex shape, which will hopefully help them in the future when we're doing more complex 3D modeling and 3D design projects. So this is what they've started with, and I'm going to import an image here so we can see some of the options. You can see lots of really cool designs. I really like this penguin, so let's start with this. So I'm going to pull this into Vinyl Master as a JPEG image, and I'm going to vectorize it. And since I'm not just cutting a decal, I'm going to bump up the number of colors so that I can print this image at full resolution with all of the colors. You can see it's taking the gradient and kind of breaking it into a few different colors here, but that's okay. Then I'm going to trace. And accept. And basically I'm going to make a sheet of stickers for each kid, a bunch of stickers of their design. And so I'm going to shrink this down a bit so that it's kind of a smallish sticker, and going to copy and paste and then do the same thing. I think I'm going to make these a little smaller so I can get a few more on the page. I want them to have a nice sheet of stickers. That's probably about as many as I can get on that page. I need to have enough space so that when I do the contour cutting, it's going to print registration marks. And those registration marks can't be too close to the edge of the paper, or the paper will fall out of the vinyl cutter when I actually go to run the job. So that's probably about as many as I can do. Now I'm going to come up here to the contour cut wizard. And you can see this is our 8.5 by 11 sheet. And you can see these are the registration marks that we'll use to line up the cutter with the paper so that it will cut around the borders of our stickers. And I do want to bump those in because I've found that at this default mark position, it's too close to the edge of the paper and the paper falls out of the cutter when I'm trying to align the markings with the cutter blade. So I'm going to bump those in a little bit, which seems to work just fine, and click build. And now I get to define the contour cut that I'm doing, and so you can adjust the outline. I could bring it all the way down to 0%. Or even less than 0% if I want to cut interior, but I find that I need to leave just a little bit of a border for any kind of error correction. My alignment isn't perfect all the time, so leaving a little bit of a white outline around each sticker helps with that, and I think this is pretty good. You don't want to go too far. I have had, this now the contours have actually joined these stickers together, so that would be one sticker of 4 penguins, so I got to bring that back down to a manageable level. And you can also adjust by units. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to click accept and print. And that's going to open it up as a PDF. And I'm going to send it to our HP inkjet laserjet printer actually. And what I'm printing on is simply full sheet shipping labels. So this is really cheap. They're thin, but for making stickers like this, that are just sort of meant to be fun, and they will, they're relatively durable. They're meant to stick on packages. I think that works pretty well. I have to reduce the pressure on the cutter pretty low because the material is pretty thin. We're not cutting onto vinyl or anything like that, but it seems to be working pretty well. So I'm going to make sure that it's set to actual size. You don't want this to resize. If I click fit, it's going to potentially adjust where those registration marks are. So you want to make sure you've got actual size selected there. And then I'm going to hit print. So here's my printed sticker sheet. As I said, this is printed just on Staples brand LaserJet full sheet printer labels. So this is just one full sheet of sticker paper, and that's what I'm going to use to make these stickers. So basically what you have are these 4 registration marks, and you're going to line the cutter up with each of them before it starts cutting. And once the cutter actually hits these marks, you can cut a little test mark and it'll show whether you're really off or not. And then you can run the job and it'll actually cut the contours around each sticker. I have found that the trickiest thing to do is to actually get the page in to start out, perfectly horizontal to the line of the cutter. So when I put it in, I go ahead and line it up with one of the vertical markings that's on here, even though that's not very close at all to where the registration mark is. So I just line it up with the edge of the sort of cutting surface here, because that's nice and aligned with how the blade moves horizontally, and I get the blade pretty close to the vertical location that it needs to be, and then I lock it in place here, even though that's pretty far off from where the registration mark is. But then on the program, I'm going to hit cut, and it's going to put me through the aligning feature. And so I've told it that I'm sort of in this area, even though I'm really not, and I'm going to click next. It's going to bring me to the next registration mark, and I'm pretty far off, but now I can use these arrows, and I can actually move the paper until my cutting blade lines up with the X right there, and then I can hit next. We'll take it over to the next one, and if I need to make any adjustments there, I can, but that's pretty good. Maybe a slight movement that way. Bring it up to the next one, and that's a little off, so I'll bring it that way and that way, and then bring it back to the beginning and check that alignment right there, and that's looking pretty good. So when I click next, now I have the ability to check the alignment. It's going to cut a little mark that should line up with those registration marks. So I'm going to do that. And you can see it's hit the first one. So it's cutting a horizontal and a vertical line, and if those lines match up with the registration point, then you're in pretty good shape. And it looks like it did. So now I'm ready to cut. All right, so there you have it. These are stickers. They're all contour cut, so students can just peel them off, stick them wherever they want, share them with each other, do whatever they want with them. This is just done using the original design. The kids use Wixie, but you could use Google Slides and layer shapes or create clip art or use clip art that you find in Google Images. to build whatever kind of custom design you wanted, export it as a JPEG, put it into your vinyl cutter software and vectorize it, and then use whatever contour cut program you have to make these custom stickers, printed onto LaserJet full-page printer labels, which are a lot cheaper than printing on printable vinyl. So there you go.